Now, what does capitalism have to do with rape? Well, penetrate, conquer, plant. That sounds just like the imperialist conquering of a country, doesn't it? Which is tied to capitalist expansion of new markets and new people to exploit. In 1452, the reigning pope gave explorers permission to conquer, invade, and submit any people on any place they, quote, discovered that was not Christian, which gave them the right to subjugate. Rape here is the male conquering, invading, submitting, which has been a factor of capitalism for a long time. You come in and you exploit the resources of any people that you can. You exploit the people and force them to work for less in times of male vulnerability, which is, as we've said, outside the male stereotype, and the experience of loss of control. Rape and sexual abuse go further and further. Now we are particularly in a time of vulnerability for all of us, where all of us feel out of control. There's out of control unemployment, there's out of control disease, and sex abuse and rape go up in times of disaster. In hard times, people can feel out of control, and one of the male stereotypes is the man is in control. Now, in America, now that rapes and sexual abuses have mounted severely, men do feel out of control because this nation has not controlled the epidemic. They don't feel protected by their government because they're largely not. They don't feel protected at home because evictions are allowed again and because they're not protected. Everyone hasn't had to be vaccinated. And so they take control over women's bodies as a way of exerting control, just like they do in the military, in which they are bossed around every minute if they're service people. And at the top, they have that perk of male power that Cuomo and Epstein and Weinstein and R. Kelly had, to access women who have to be subordinate. America can stop being the world leaders in rape, which we are now. Just like we could, of course, stop being the world leaders in COVID death, which we also are. But we can stop that. It requires a financial investment, and it also requires a cultural investment in music, in film, in ads, in video games, in schools, in sex education. Of course we could do it. If they can do it elsewhere, of course we can. Then we don't have to be the world leaders in sex abuse and rape. And so here you can see why something like rape is created by all these other forces together in our very predatory capitalist system. You'd need a strong socialist influence to pass the positive things, just like you needed a strong socialist influence in the New Deal. Frances Perkins was a socialist, and she was the head of labor. Other union officials were hired, communist and socialist, because they knew that to save this place, you needed socialism. And I think we need that now, as rape and sexual abuse are increasing and out of control.